In this video, I want to explain the proof master. So this is one version of the proof. I call it the master. So it's actually not the best version because there's some issues with this that I will show you. So here you can expand all of the networks and then look at each of these pieces of the report. Alternatively, you could change the view to the component view, and it does pretty much the same thing. But what you get is you can look at the information blocks within a component. You can't look at the information blocks in this manner within a network in this application. In other applications, you can. It's an idiosyncrasy of the application. So here, if I were to expand all these, you would see the different blocks of information. So what you want to focus on is the differences in the representation, the things that are subjective. So I'll explain that in a second here. But here you can see all the different blocks of information. So another way to see these blocks of information is to simply click on block, and you see that there are 19 blocks of information. You can also look at the hypercube view. Again, within the hypercube, you can see the different information blocks. So you can also see the different disclosures. So here, I select disclosure and I see 20 disclosures. So why is it that I have 20 disclosures and only 19 information blocks? Well, the reason is that this information block, assets, and this information block, liabilities and equity, this information block, net cash flow, and this is the assets. I'm rolling forward the assets because I don't have cash and cash equivalents in this report. So these are used twice. So in the disclosure, as the balance sheet, if I click that, it has two information blocks. One information block is assets. The other information block is liabilities and equity. So you see these are in the wrong order. Same thing for cash, the cash flow statement. It has two information blocks. The net cash flow roll up and the roll forward of assets, which would generally be the roll forward of cash and cash equivalents. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that if you had a report, and that report represents information for an economic entity, you'd expect that if 10 different accountants created 10 different representations of exactly the same information for exactly the same economic entity, that the disclosures would be exactly the same, right? That's kind of the point of financial reporting. It's a standard, and if you give someone a tool, the way that they use the tool should not change the information that is being disclosed. So you can change some things that have nothing to do with financial reporting. So for example, the notion of a network does not exist in financial reporting. The notion of a hypercube does not exist. So you can take this hypercube and represent it in any of these networks, and that would not change the logic of the report. It would change the sequence, but it would not, the sequence of the information is shown, the presentation of the information, but it would not change the logic. None of this would change. So I'm at my 5-minute point. So that is the key aspect to understand about this first instance of this representation. So I'm going to show you one other thing. So if I show you these blocks of information, notice how this and this and this have exactly the same name or label, but they're three different representations. So this is one way to represent, this is basically a very summarized income statement. This is an alternative representation of an income statement. And this is a reconciliation between net income and other comprehensive income. So there's some subtle issues with this report. So for example, here it says comprehensive income roll-up, but it's actually a net income roll-up. That's my mistake. The same thing here. This is net income, and it should be comprehensive income. This makes a lot of difference. I found this mistake when I was creating this, and I needed to use net income to do this breakdown, this variance analysis, as opposed to comprehensive income. So there's little subtle things that are just incorrect about this report, but it doesn't matter. They should all be representing the same information. The only thing that's changing between this version and another version is some subjective choices that are made. So I'm going to stop there because I'm over my time, and I'm going to get to the next video.